Blue. No, red.
Hey guys, hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm just going to join the others in the chat, so do bear with me. This is the first time I'm using OBS. I've never used OBS before. I've moved from XSplit, so hopefully everyone can hear me. Everything's going to go according to plan. If it doesn't, yeah, let me know in the chat. It wasn't actually going to be me streaming, it was going to be Gul, but unfortunately I think he's had internet issues, hence why I am here instead. So yeah, do apologise. I've not really set OBS up, I've just kind of really rushed it. So if it sounds shoddy, then you know why. So let's unmute the guys.
Boy.
And here they are.
I don't know.
Look.
I never go.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
You're live on the internet, by the way. I just thought I'd mention that. Dun, dun, dun. Live on the interwebs. On the interwebbies.
Isn't technology amazing?
Webs of the internet. I don't know what the delay is going to be like. I've got to be honest with you, because they might not hear us for another like 20, 30 seconds. But, you know, they might.
Oh, well.
Oh well, such is
It
life.
is the nature of streaming.
It is the nature of streaming. It's well, as I said, I've not used OBS before, so this is all new to me. So we're going to see how OBS does, because
it's a hard knock life.
It's a hard knock life for Armada 3. But I'm not actually leading this whole interview with Stardock, because it's Schism.
An interview with Stardock makes it sound so fancy.
Well, you are technically Stardock, right? That's how it kind of works.
I'm a community manager. Yes.
He's the entire Stardock. It's just him.
Just him. There's no other employees of Stardock. Just Schism.
But Yarlin says hi from him.
So,
Skype.
So yes, we were planning to do this on Twitch, which would have been helpful because then Stardock were going to rehost on their channel as well. But sadly, plans have gone wrong, and so YouTube is where we are.
Yes.
I guess it's over to you, Schism. How do you want to do this?
Well, basically, we're just here to show off some of the brilliant, wonderful work done by some of our very talented modders in the Sims community. And we're also here to talk a bit about modern, about gaming in general, and whilst playing this wonderful thing called Armada 3 Nemesis.
Excellent.
We'll be doing we've got 4 players. Bane, of course, is actually one of the head developers for Armada 3, and personally think was one of the head for this version of the mod. Max is also very instrumental, one of the longest running modders and modelers in the Sims community, works on several different mods.
He's actually the lead developer as well for Armada 3, yes. So he's in charge of the whole shebang.
Can't forget his title.
And also the upcoming AOTF as well. Yes. Caesar is a very experienced player and play tester, and I'm just this nobody community manager who's here to have some fun and talk about games.
To be fair, that's not giving Caesar enough credit. He's the golden beta tester.
Golden beta tester.
You could coat him in gold and he'd be so happy.
He's on planet yet.
Crown fitting for a king.
Oh god, go on.
So I was gonna say, it looks like we're gonna be doing an FFA then. So we're not taking this too seriously. I mean, frankly, Caesar could probably beat all of us anyway. So
we're gonna see which one of us gets killed by random events first.
With a hand tied behind his back, he could probably kill all of us, just like this.
Well, that's not fair. He's mapped sins directly to his brain, and you know it.
He's playing random, so we'll wait and see. He's playing a random race. We don't even know what he's gonna be yet. We don't have no idea.
Suddenly he spawns as the pack led.
Caesar is good with all ships. So
secret faction.
I'm going to play the Romulans because Romulans. I haven't played the Romulans, believe it or not, in Nemesis yet. I know that's weird because Romulans, everyone knows, is my favourite.
I'm scared now. I'm scared. You Romulans with the. Why did I have to make that shockwave ship?
Max, you're playing Klingons, right?
Yes, to commemorate my new Klingon persona of Gowron.
There's a question for you,
dear.
Schism, already in the chat.
Oh.
And it says, how do you feel about Gul releasing the fact that Season 2 is coming in the near future? That's pretty direct.
I feel like Gul has more information than I do.
There you go. You cannot comment. There's no such thing.
I couldn't possibly comment.
Well, there isn't. There was a post, wasn't there, by Brad, but I think that got people excited. But generally, we have not heard of a Sins 2, so we can only guess as if there will ever be one. Or hope.
That post by Brad is the biggest news we've had in years.
Yeah.
Well, suffice to say, folks at Stardock are well aware of the interest and passion for Sins in general. But
Mild understatement.
How may I say?
yeah, but I mean, like obviously, like Sins is a game that we're still supporting, and you know, is not going away anytime soon. That's all I can say for certain. I can't talk about things which have not been announced.
Which I think is fair enough,
So so what you're saying is they're going to be in.
How may I serve?
I'm saying Brad wants stuff to happen, and we'll see if stuff happens. But I couldn't possibly comment about unannounced
How
things.
may I serve?
Understandable,
I think if a new Sins was coming, it would be great. And I know there are certain things that I, as a coder, would want if there was a new
How may I
Sins.
serve?
Oh please, I've got a huge list of stuff that I would like to see graphically.
Lots of
Which probably would put us on to actually what
How
was
may I
technically our
serve?
last question, but
My
I can
life
ask
for
first
the
because it's
Empire.
something which I know you guys are very passionate about.
Mm.
So what things would you like to see in future
How
Sins
may I
as far as
serve?
mod features go? Hit us with your best ones.
If I'll go first, and then Max can do his bits.
How
So
may I
for me,
serve?
I find it thoroughly frustrating in the current Sins version. The one thing I can't do is I can't target abilities at an area of space. What I can do is I can target objects. So I can target like planets, ships, stations. What I'd love to be able to do is just target an effect or an ability in an area of effect in space. Something so simple that I think would add a lot to me as a coder. And the other thing that I'd like to do is to, I suppose I don't want to say other games, but I mean there are other games that have kind of like modules that you can feature. So I will say the game, like Homeworld Cataclysm was a good example where you can have modular bits. So I'd like to be able to customize so that modelers could customize ships and stuff like that in that way. That would be cool.
Definitely agreed with that. I personally would also love to see a bit more flexibility when it comes to like. I would love to see it. Like, this is just to keep on going on Bane's thing with the coding wise. It's just to have a bit more options of having like. If I wanted to add another shipyard type, I could do that and just tell what is built from that. Unlike how it's locked. Well, basically you've got 3 shipyard types, and you've got frigates, cruisers, and caps, and there's titans. I'd love to be able to build my own shipyard type, so like Shipyard X, that's able to build something completely new. That's something that's currently not possible. But yeah, graphically, the good modern bits, dynamic lighting, please, animations, please, soft particles, stuff like that. There's, I mean, to be fair, Sins has got a really great article. Since I've got
a lot of stuff like adding modules and more possibilities. I think mentioned was a lot of stuff like having your own independent turrets and ships and stuff like that.
Yes, I'd also like just mesh animations that you can, or animations that you can trigger, or effects that you can trigger when certain things are done. One of the things with Armada 3 that we really bumped into is something we couldn't do is we couldn't trigger a ship-specific animation or effect when a ship was going to warp. So we couldn't, for example, just in the sense of Armada 3, we couldn't make the cells flash up whenever a ship went to warp. And that's something I would have really loved to see.
I suppose it's like sometimes it's the little things that you would like as modders for authenticity for what you're trying to do. And that can be tricky. I mean, obviously, the fact is, you know, I think even Sins as it stands now has been fantastic for us as we've had the pleasure or misfortune, if you like, of modding other games in the past, and by far, I think most of us would agree that Sins is one of the easier I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not easy creating a mod, but it's one of the easier games to mod out of those out there, and I think we all appreciate that fact in a way. So
complete.
I personally, what I really like about Sins is how it works is in comparison to another game I've tried modding, in this case Stellaris, is that Sins maintains a very stable game even though major features get added. So
proceed to coordinate.
That's something I've noticed when I was modded, when we were working on Infinities at the time, is as soon as the next major patch comes out, you can basically just, you know what, you can restart the mod from scratch because the entire system X has been changed. While at Sins, even back when I was, like, I originally started working on Armada 3, while I was still also on the team for Star Trek Legacy on the Ultimate Universe, so that's when I started doing some very early experiments with Sins. And, well, it hasn't changed much in terms of the way it works, even from Sins the original, which I've actually got in my hand right now, which is a copy out of, what's the year? 2008. Which is 10 years ago, people. I mean, it's still, the base fit, it's not much change, which makes it really easy to just keep going with it. Even though major things have been added.
We have successfully colonized.
Proceed.
Yeah, that was a big consideration, I know, when it came to developing the new engine we have, actually, which basically the idea being that it wants something that can be used for the next, like, 10 years, and that's something which has been very kind of like when it comes to 32-bit engines. I think we've reached the limit in this generation what we can do with them.
One thing I'd also really like to compliment Sins on, or at least the engine on, is that I adore the particle engine of Sins. It works so well and it's so versatile. I mean, it's a shame that not a lot of mods utilize the particle forge as well as it's possible, because you can do so much with it. I mean, for example, one of our most amazing abilities in my book is something that was a coordinated effort of multiple mod teams, which was our multi-vector assault mode, which is a combination of the, again, flexible buff system that Sins has and a particle effect that kind of cheats, where we cheat how it works and what it shows. And I think that, you know, that shows the versatility of the engine and what you can do with it, really, even though it's not entirely meant for that feature.
Caesar, do you have anything to add? I know you just a playtest. So yeah,
than to die.
I think now would be a good time to talk about maybe your guys' general history with gaming. Like what kind of games you started playing and what kind of genres you're into.
Our research is
what's good about Sins in that way. Well, Sins is a bit of a mashup between 4X and RTS.
I'm probably one of the older ones as a team. At the grand age of 33, so I say old, but I'm not that old. But I started gaming out. I actually started my gaming adventure started, sadly, boo, on consoles with the Master System. That's how far back I go. If anyone knows what a Master System is, that's the thing before the Mega Drive.
In America, is known as Mega Drive.
But I'd always had exposure to games because actually my uncle had an Amstrad computer which had the tape disc. You remember you used to get the cassette tapes years ago. Computer games used to come on cassette tapes. You had to press the play button to play them. It was amazing. So, and if you don't know what a cassette tape is, it's like a bit of plastic. It has two little spools of like tape in it. And when you press play, it reads the tape with like a reader. It was amazing technology for its time.
We have a superior fire.
So that's where I kind of started out in gaming.
'Tis more brave to live
just giving away
than to die.
I mean, gaming, I started out, I think the Nintendo, the original, I started on Nintendo playing games on that. Friend's place. But I think I got an old PC rather soon, so I started out with games like Age of Empires, and that moved on to
keep it steady.
Well, some other sci-fi games, and I mean, I played strategy games, I think, from very early on, really. As I still remember, one of the first games I started playing was Age of Empires 1, and then later to Age of Kings, and I loved them both for many years. I still love them.
Our ships have arrived.
Caesar?
We lie in the shadows.
I'm probably the youngest of all you old timers here. So my introduction
All
to
ahead, full.
video games, I think, was the PlayStation 1. I'm pretty
I'm
sure I
yours to
played
command.
Spyro at my
Proceed,
cousin's
Centurion.
house.
Proceed to coordinates.
I got the original Xbox when I think I was 9. A year later, whilst I was at my grandparents', I played on my uncle's Xbox and played Halo. My RT introduction to RTS was Age of Mythology, so after Age of Empires 2 was released, never really got into Age of Empires, unlike many.
Shame.
Age of Mythology was where it was at for me.
Good game.
I loved it as well. It's a good game.
About all I can say. Here we are.
I mean, in terms of like sci-fi, I actually started off in first person. Well, I say first person. It's just kind of like mechs. I played a game called Star Siege, and at the time,
yeah, that was part of the Earth Siege series.
Yeah, it's
into Tribes.
Exactly. Tribes came as like this multiplayer add-on with it, and that's when I really got into serious gaming because I joined a group or a clan called OST. I can't remember what the O stands for. It was like Sick and Twisted. It was a great name. Anyway, and we ended up, there was a league for that, and we ended up playing in the European finals, and we won. So we each got some money, and that was quite nice. So that was my sort of tangle with professional gaming with Star Siege Tribes. I loved that game because obviously the thing that made that game famous was that there was a bug in it that allowed you to accelerate yourself.
Surfing.
At stupid speeds across the map. So you could literally jump from one side of the smashing map to the other in seconds, which was never intended, but it then became kind of like the way to play.
That's what became Tribes, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what became Tribes. So yeah, it was a great game. And then strategy-wise, I played the original Command & Conquer because the original Command &
Oh
Conquer.
yes! Oh god, I forgot about that. I played that. What I really personally played to death of that series, Red Alert 2. Geoffrey Doig.
So, no, just I then probably will transition to say what your history with Sins is, though, because actually when I first, because he was talking earlier about having an original game.
So, I mean, Original Sins, I think me and Max were chatting about this earlier. We both still own the original CD version of Sins.
Yep.
We both do.
We both have it. It's on my shelf somewhere. I actually can't.
I've got it in my hands
I've
right
got it
now.
somewhere.
I picked it up just for this. I found it in my closet. It's nice disc.
Yeah.
Nice case. Came with lots of goodies.
It takes you back, doesn't it? It does take you back when you look at it.
Yeah, I actually found the game as I saw a random video on YouTube at the time. I think when YouTube still had the HQ button, like HD. What's that? And it was that game, and I forgot about it, and then I saw it one day lying in the store, and I just had to pick it up. And I kind of started tinkering with it as soon as I figured out that I could. I mean, I started modding early on to begin with. I mean, I made maps for Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. I was pretty active in the Star Trek Bridge Commander modding scene. Super active in the Star Trek Legacy modding scene. I was part of Chris Jones Gaming. Most successful mod for Star Trek Legacy Ultimate Universe, over 2 million downloads back in the day. So that was a fun time. That's what really got me into 3D modeling as well.
Cool.
That's where I started, really.
How it all began.
Caesar, when did you jump on Sins?
Well, I think I recall Max saying earlier that Sins was released in 2008, so I would have been 10 at the time. If you want to put things into perspective, so
not the perspective I wanted, mate.
I came across Sins on Steam. I know a lot of people today get into Sins because of the modding scene that they'll come across on YouTube or elsewhere. I came across Sins as it was on Steam, thought it looked good. Saw it on discount one day, purchased.
Research is complete.
And yeah, so I didn't buy it for the mods, wasn't aware they existed until a few hundred hours worth of game time in, and went from there, really.
Of course, even to this day, there's still a very active competitive community for Sins.
Especially considering, I mean, well, Rebellion is the when did Rebellion release? 2012, 2013.
Yeah, it's about 5 or 6 years old now.
Complete.
So yeah, it was 2012. Rebellion came out.
And I mean, Sins all the way through has just been a
have the superior
genuine
firepower.
pleasure to play. Like even stock. Mind you, I do remember the times when carriers were just like, oh my god, carrier spam was a thing.
Not just any carriers, Vasari carrier spam.
Yeah. So no, Stock Sins. I think unfairly now, Stock Sins has had like a lot of slack because I think, and this is what I like to remind people, is that although there are great mods out there and there are a lot of them,
to coordinates.
there would be no mods without Stock Sins. So it's I think it's one of people if they kind of compare like the mods to the core game, because the core game, without the core game and its mechanics, there would be no mods. So that's how I feel about Stock Sins, is that it's a great game and
we have the superior
I as a modder appreciate the fact that it is the way it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I played that to death myself as well, you know. I mean, Stock Sins is how it all started out, so, you know, wouldn't give that any sort of bad connotation at any point.
Yeah. And hopefully, you know, as mod developers, we've, along with like our fellow mod developers in, you know, Sins of Galactic Empire, Sins of the Prophets, Ascendancy,
Sins of the Fallen, Maelstrom,
Maelstrom, Sacrifice
Sins
Angels,
Sins of the Royal Navy.
Sins of the Navy. That chestnut. You know, I think that we all appreciate that we have the opportunity to, you know, mod this excellent game.
Ah, good. So again, like some of you guys have already mentioned this a bit, but I'm going to ask you, how did you start Modern Sins and what motivates you about it?
Research is complete.
I'll let Max go first.
well, personally, I started out. Funny enough, I originally wanted to because at the time I was playing Mass Effect 3. And I was still really into the Mass Effect. My original idea for Armada 3 was to make it, well, it wasn't called Armada 3 at that point, was to make a Mass Effect mod.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I found out that, you know, Mass Effect has about 3 ship designs in total. So that wasn't going to make a viable roster, and I realized, you know, of course, I still had my love for Star Trek, as I still do. And I decided to make that, and, well, tinkered with that for myself all alone for, let's say, over half a year. And then a small group of very talented people started coming together, including Mr. Bain here, Mr. Gull, who's not there. Who was there's some other people back in the day, Mindwipe, Admiral Q, Kalian. Well, there's a whole lot of people. We've got Skyline, we've got Christopher Buck, Christopher Knight, bless his soul. There were a lot of people that joined on. The team grew really quickly, and I still think it's kind of overwhelming because we got such a group of talented people together at that point that we were able to bring out such an amazing product. And I think that's the very brief and honest history of how I started modding Sins and how I got to where I am right now.
Right. I think we've been lucky to sort of to find each other. I mean, I got introduced through a mutual friend of ours that worked with Max on British Commander.
No, Legacy.
Legacy.
Yeah,
British Commander Legacy. It was Legacy, wasn't it?
Phoenix was part of the Ultimate Universe team as well. Me and him butted heads on that team from day to day.
And then I sort of came to help test because I liked Star Trek, and I was playing a lot of Star Trek Online, I think, at the time.
My crew is ready.
And I still do. I do play a lot of Star Trek.
Get in position. Get in position.
Yeah, check out my YouTube channel. What? We're on it already.
This is not the shameless plug channel.
Yeah, shameless plug. So I spent a lot of time sort of, you know, actually moaning a lot at Max, saying this isn't balanced.
I don't know what you're talking about, and the Romulans were overpowered.
I remember we first played the Vengeance class, which as you can see on my screen at the moment. We were playing this, and I said the Vengeance is woefully underpowered. And I remember Max being so adamant. He was like, "Oh no, it's perfectly acceptable. It's perfectly fine." I said, "Okay, here's the deal. I'll play as Feds, you play as Romulans, and you see how you feel." Within about 10 minutes of playing the game, Max was like, "Yeah, I think we're gonna have to change this."
I think the language is slightly more colourful than that, but
It was.
there was some bombs that were dropped if I wasn't mistaken.
There was, but it was. I always remember that it was fun, and they were the early days, and we didn't really know. We did know what we were doing, but we didn't really know what we were doing at the time, and there was a lot of learning. There was a big learning curve, especially for me, because I started off by doing strings because we needed someone just to write walls of text, and I think I wrote hundreds and hundreds of lines of text in the end for abilities across a lot of the factions, and then it got to the point that we needed actually someone to code abilities, and Max said to me, "Hey, you can do this, Bane, right? You can code text, so you can code."
I taught you how to do this, and then you took it a level beyond what I'm capable of.
and so I kind of got into it that way, and that's what I've done all the way through. And then, we got to CTA. That was a massive milestone for us. We added the Dominion in. It was good, and I really enjoyed that. There was lots of. I think all the way through development, we've had lots of people come back and go, "This is underpowered. This is overpowered. I don't like the way you've done this." People have made mini mods for the mod.
Can we please have the? Can we please have the Galaxy X? Can we please have the JJ prize? Can we please have Ship X, which was seen on screen for 0.2 seconds?
Yeah. So there was lots of requests.
Actually, I mean, to be fair, the Prometheus is featured pretty heavily here, and that was in just one episode technically. Well,
yeah, but that was like a ship that was like front and center of an episode.
Yeah, it's definitely like really.
I still love that ship.
Iconic ship. I think this one of the hard things is always really hard to gauge. What you should and shouldn't put in. We were fairly adamant most of the way through that we would not put the Constitution class in as a ship. That you
but still not buildable, really.
Yeah, and we only really have added in the ability to possibly capture a Constitution, because realistically, in the time frame we set the mod, they just would not be.
We lie in the shadows.
Any decent Starfleet commander would not want to be found with the Constitution class.
Yeah, absolutely. So
proceed to coordinate.
And so I think we've tried to make a mod that
is complete.
That people will enjoy, that is reasonably true to canon as much as you can be, because you can't be. I think we've had this chat about, we call it the Voyager problem, and that is like if you based everything on Endgame in Voyager, which was the last episode of the series. Your balance just wouldn't work in the game.
I can remember there was one guy that was on the I know his name.
The superior firepower.
Diamond Frostmane.
Yes.
You remember him? Who was adamant that we had to add the transphasic torpedoes to Voyager because we had to respect canon, and it has to be like that. And if we don't know what we're doing. And we were like, but that's not going to be fun. It's like it's something I said to the guys from day one. Canon in visual, I want it as close as we can. But when it comes to gameplay, if Ship X is slightly powerful, even though it shouldn't be, but it works better in gameplay, then so be it.
That's something which happens a lot, even in just kind of basic game dev, is where you want to do something like, even if you have the complete freedom to do anything you want, you have to think about what's actually fun and even when an idea kind of works in prototyping, but then you actually put it into the larger game with all these systems happening, all of a sudden, oh wait, no, this isn't fun. This is creating problems which we didn't foresee, and then we have to like tear it out or something. If you can't rework, I mean, sometimes you'll try reworking something and go through lots of iterations, but sometimes like it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think you've got to kind of try and make the right decisions for your mods, and people aren't always going to agree with those decisions.
We lack the resources.
And certainly along Armada 3 they haven't, and we'll be pretty open. We do listen to the feedback all the way along. That's why we had the testing program. That's why, I mean, I suppose the best person to ask if we listen to people is Caesar, really. You know.
Hey.
Now, Caesar, remember what we told you to answer to questions like this,
We'll
and
pay
you know
you
what
later.
happens if you
The
don't.
Empire.
Please
Proceed to
don't make me test an unbinned version again.
Lay in
Um,
a course.
Yeah, I mean the open the TFF release had an open beta effectively, which is what I enlisted to. That's how I got into the team, and
life for
certainly
the
all the way
Empire.
through TFF, through
more brave to live
through
than
to
to die.
Nemesis, Max, Bane,
We have the
Gull, and
superior
Rennie. Everyone's been
firepower.
perfectly happy
My
to
life for the
hear
Empire.
differing opinions. Not necessarily always agreeing, but at the end of the day, that's part of working as a team. People will have opinions on something that they want to see, but if from a practical point or a situational point of view it's not necessary, it doesn't have to be implemented. There's nothing to obligate it.
To coordinates.
I will say from a personal standpoint, it's been a wonderful experience working with everyone on the Armada Free team.
Strike now.
If only my school experience working with
My life for the Empire.
like-minded individuals was as fulfilling as this has been. I would have been a very happy chap.
Schoolwork's always different, then, isn't it?
It is, of course. You don't want to be there. But this just working. I mean, being able to play Sins and playtest the mod is in itself a privilege. But it's been brilliant, and if this is what, from my young'un perspective, working with a team is like, then I look forward to the future and working with other people.
Honestly, we did not pay him to say that.
We may or may not have threatened him with physical harm if he didn't.
A lot of people actually at Stardock come from modern scene as well, including our VP of pretty much all products on gaming as well. I myself even was also part of a couple mod teams way back. Nothing quite as ambitious as this one, though, I have to admit.
'Tis more brave to live.
There's a lot of creativity, and I think a lot of people get into the industry from modern as well.
I think that's one of the things we've had as feedback, and we're really lucky. You know, I have to say that for Armada 3, you know, a lot of people will say to us, "Oh, well, you guys have made the best mod for Sins," and I think that's unfair, because I think the whole modding community as a whole there's a lot of good mods out there.
Research
Definitely.
And
What I've personally...
go on, Max.
sorry.
No, you go.
Station.
What I personally have noticed with Sins community in comparisons to some other communities is that there's not a lot of competition with each other in the Sins community. Rather, it's a lot of cooperation on anything. I mean, I could go to any other mod team and ask them, like, "Hey guys, you've done a really cool ability. Mind explaining how you did it?" And they'd happily show you. Same wise where we'd help them out with some graphical tricks. I mean, personally, I've supplied some models for. I mean, I've recently been helping out Star Trek Yesteryears, if I haven't forgotten the name of it. It's a new mod that's coming out, and I know that I've had close ties with the guys from Sins of the Galactic Empire and Sins of the Prophets as well. Over the years. Lava's been an exceptional resource.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say that, you know, we've had STA3 is only as good as the sum of its parts, and those parts have come from great mods like E4X, Sins of the Galactic Empire, those modders that make those mods.
E4X, amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Goafan, who makes E4X, he's just such a great guy. And then Zombie, we call him like the godfather of modding, because he's the one that originally mapped out a lot of the stuff for us in a nice, easy way. And, you know, he's such a great guy. He makes Sins of the Fallen with the Battleship Bismarck mod, which you guys featured in the Stardock channel. And
Yeah, play some of that.
yeah, everybody, you know, everybody in the community in Sims, we don't really get competitive. I think some of the fans of the mods get more competitive than we would ever get competitive. You know, they're like, oh, this mod is far better, and we're not like that. You know, we're all the modders. Every time you talk to them, they're all so chilled out and laid back. It's just like, you know, we all come together to help each other, and there's no one. I can't pick a mod in the community that's kind of like, oh, we're not going to help you. You know, genuinely. We're all happy with sharing what we do, so that we can all make our mods. Like every mod, we want every mod in Sins to be excellent, you know. So even we like go out and we assist other mods in the Sins community to generally make
our research is complete.
Sins have that extended lifespan that I think it's got, you know. And I will say, and I'm sure Stardock are aware of this, but I think Sins' life itself, even all the way back to 2008 up to now, I think the modding side has worked in tangent with the core game to make Sins last over a decade, just because of that constant, even now, back from Ironclad as developers and Stardock as publishers, even that constant thinking of Sins, even though it's a game that was released a long time ago. You know, there's always the developers in Ironclad who made Sins have always been at hand, like Blair. I'm not sure I'll have to mention his name on stream, but Blair, who's one of the Ironclad guys, he's, you know, he often pops into our streams as modders and you know, feeds back to us and says hello, and you know, sticks around to chat.
Even on the Sins actual official forums, you know, if you have a question.
Yeah.
Which isn't something you can easily look up on the forums themselves.
We have superior
and I don't feel that
engaging
every group of game developers does that, has that connection with their modding community, you know. So I think, to me, that's what I would take about Ironclad and Stardock, that's really special, that I hope you guys will continue doing, you know, is that that special relationship you have with your modding communities, and that's
that now just sounds wrong. That's a relationship, yes.
Special relationship.
Well, what I mean by that is, I think that it's something that other games developers should take note of and do more of, you know. And I think that's what makes games better than just their release day, is the ability to work with the modding community, you know. To name like other games, like, I don't think Fallout would be as good as it is if it wasn't for the modding community. Skyrim, you know, all those kind of games. There's lots of games out there that are really good games in themselves, and because they're good games, people want to modify them and want to make mods, and because the developers have embraced that and embraced the community, that's just made the game so much better to people, and it makes you okay with investing your money, if there was a sequel, in the sequel, if you know you're going to get that same level of development and feedback from the modding community. So I think modding is important. Yeah. So, and I'm totally not concentrating on building anything. I really should build some ships.
Trying not to be completely defensive when I inevitably get attacked. I have one final kind of official question to ask, and that is, any professional tips on modern Sims?
Station complete.
Patience.
Yeah.
And the willingness to accept that some things just can't be done. No matter how hard you try, no matter how many workarounds you've done, you will not be able to have an intrepid class with rotating warp nacelles when it goes to warp. It just simply can't be done.
Get in position.
Although we do
that's something I've spent a lot of time trying to do. It's not possible, but no. Trying to get into mods. Be quick with acquiring certain software, because certain software is actually unavailable at this point. Autodesk has discontinued soft image, and the most reliable way to port models to 3D to Sins is through soft image. So unless they come up with another format, which I doubt they'll do for Sins with a decade-old game, I don't blame them at all.
Proceed to coordinates.
You might have some issues with that.
Right. How about you, Bean?
I would go with patience as well. I think to be a modder, you need to, yes, have patience, but you got to have drive. You know, you've got to be willing to accept that if you're going to make a mod, especially of Armada 3's quality and size, that one, you need a good team of people behind you. It's very hard to go alone. Two, that you need to invest a lot of time in doing so. You know, I've spent, and I know Max as well, countless hours. We're talking hundreds of hours developing Armada 3 over many years. And people are always like, "Oh, when's the next version coming out?" We were famous for never really giving like a full-on release date, because
when
the fact
it's
is,
done.
when it's done is a real sort of term that you have to accept, because it is a lot of investment in time. There's a lot of testing, you know. I remember testers first coming in and getting involved, and again, I'm sure Caesar will back me up on this in a second, in that just to balance test a fleet that you've designed against another fleet, and you have to take into account, like you have to take into account of what if this fleet jumps in on top of this fleet and engages at close range? What if the other fleet then jumps on this fleet and engages at close range? What if they engage across a gravity well? What if one fleet has this ability on cooldown but this one doesn't? And so you have to like really weigh up the effect of things. You know, things that Sins has put in, like culture. You know, you have to weigh up the effect of how that's going to affect the battles and the design of your game. So it's a lot
What
of
kind
time.
of buffs have I set up that will happen if I fight inside or outside my own culture?
Yeah, so really that's the thing that I kind of would feed back. And I think
I would also give back one feature. Have a clear image of what you want to make, and stick to that. And finally, don't be afraid to ask questions, because the knowledge is out there. It might not, you might not know where to find it, but there's somebody in the community that always will.
Yeah.
And they might not provide you with the direct information, but they will most likely send you in the right direction where to find it.
Our research is complete.
Some comments saying they live in the Roman UI.
Thank you very much. The UI was made by Connor.
The Romulan UI was Mind Wipe and Gul? Question mark.
Was it? I thought it might have been Connor.
Connor? I'm not sure.
Not sure. It's a beautiful UI.
Yeah, Connor's also been around since the very start. He's I think it was Gul, then Connor, or Killer BC, whatever he goes with these days. And then you popped along.
Research is complete.
We had a huge team at CTA at that point. That was insane. I just sort of was thinking about that. We had Wiley. We had, just in terms of 3D artists, we had Wiley, Christopher Buck, Skyline, Phoenix, Connor. That's 5 already, and that's, I mean, that's a lot of 3D artists for a mod.
Than to that.
Research is complete.
We done. I think we've done pretty well, you know, with the team, and it's been a journey, really. It really has.
Oh, I have the Planet Killer. Doomsday Machine.
Bane?
Yes?
I have an issue.
What's your issue?
How do I,
Die?
No, why can't I unlock the Thalar's scanny ability? Oh, there we go. Never mind, it just didn't have enough antimatter.
Because you haven't got enough antimatter.
Yay!
Yay!
I figured that out on my own. You didn't help me there.
Okay. I tried to
that all by myself.
By now, Caesar is amassing a giant armada to wipe the rest of us from the state of the known universe.
Correct.
Incorrect. But yeah, it is to go back to it. It is surprising how much investment you need to do in in testing, and I think
Our research
I remember there was a lot. We've had a lot of bugs through Armada 3 as well, and I think Nemesis was kind of like because I remember talking to Max, and I said to Max, I'm not happy. I've got to do a new version.
Our research
And I think your response at the time was, no. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Because Infinities was going at the time, and it was literally, it was just me really that was moaning a lot about things not being quite right with the TFF release and certain things needing fixing. And I think we all came to that acknowledgement. And in reality, we had a bit of saving grace because Blair from Ironclad at the time released a patch which fixed a lot of stability issues in Sins, and I think that covered over some of the cracks that were starting to show in the mod.
Definitely, it helped with a lot of stability issues as well. So thank you with that. It also prevented us from having to tell people how to install LA, which was a challenge in itself.
Okay, guys. Guys. Okay, so just so I can confirm, the Doomsday device.
Yes,
we have
successfully. It does blow up planets.
Yes, it just blew up one of the planets. I am panicking.
Sorry,
I didn't expect that. Oh no,
I need some scouts.
You can laugh at my pain.
Existence is pain.
Schism, you may want to destroy the Doomsday device as quickly as possible.
It's very siege vessels are very efficient with taking it out.
Our research is complete.
You need the larger type of siege vessels, I would add though.
Which faction are you playing, Schism?
Federation. So I want to do
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Get some New Orleans, and then set them in siege mode and bombard it.
My life for the
shoot it in the mouth if you can.
Yes, it's
got
damage reduction everywhere else, but if you can shoot it in the mouth, it will go down.
But to continue on Sins, I mean, but not Armada 3. I'm personally looking forward a lot to what the community will think of Ages of the Federation, because it's going to be very different from Armada 3.
Planetary research.
I don't know if you want to talk a bit about it, Bane, but...
Yeah, I can talk about AOTF. So AOTF is a new mod for Sins, and people were quite shocked when we said we were coming back to Sins, but it's a different mod. I think it's something that
complete.
We always like to say we'd like to try and push the boundaries with Sins. We like to look at things that might not be done. So we looked at the state of play of the mods in the Sins community, and we felt that we wanted to go back to the roots of tactical gameplay. There's a lot of people that like microing abilities and controlling ships directly, and we find that in competitive play that's what people like to do in Armada even, but there's too many ships really to control to that level. So for some players that's not as easy. Easier said than done, essentially. So we are looking at in AOTF to make a tactical based strategy. So you'll have a lot less ships, very small number of ships, and each ship, from whether it be a scout ship to a heavy cruiser, will have a unique role. And because I often felt, and we spoke about it, didn't we, Max, quite deeply, that like even scout ships as an example, in a lot of Sins mods, including STA3, they're kind of just throwaway ships, and you throw that scout ship out there, you go explore the galaxy, it will eventually blow up, and then you kind of forget about it, and you never build a scout ship ever again.
You might build another one if you know, maybe
if you want a scout,
if you need a scout, yeah.
But generally you throw them away, and it was quite sad to me that was the state of affairs, because in truth that's not kind of what happens in the real world. You know, yes, you've got your heavy cruisers, your battleships, but corvettes are pretty formidable, destroyers are pretty formidable. So you know, we excuse my phone going off in the background. That's actually our other fellow developer ringing me, probably telling me why he couldn't get on tonight. But long story short, you know, they're going to see this real tactical, deep gameplay, and we've even talked about not having some of the things that become staples now. Like maybe we won't have heroes because, you know, it's great having
each ship needs to feel. Yeah, each ship needs to feel as a hero. If you lose that one NX class refit, you're going to be like, oh no. You know, you might have named it yourself, and yet, I mean, we had a workaround in a way to do unique ship registries. but there's a slight shader issue. So if any of the Sins developers might want to pop me a hello, because it's an issue with non-additive particles where additive particles don't correctly display in 3D space.
I don't know what he just said, but he said something.
I heard particle.
Research is complete.
He said something.
Non-additive and Sins don't go together very well.
But yeah, I think people could expect a very different game. I don't want people to run into it thinking it's Armada free, because it's not.
It's definitely not.
It's definitely not Armada free. It's definitely very different. It's going to be a very different style of mod, and I don't personally feel there's another mod out there at the moment that echoes what we're going to try and do with AOTF. So we're really excited about it. I know it's a lot to live up to, a lot to say. That there's nothing else like it, but I really do feel we're going to be doing something quite unique in that sense. And why are all these Cardassian scouts in my system, Caesar? Go away.
Oh, there's Schism's blown up planet.
Planetary research.
You want to what? You want to explore everybody's territory to find out what everyone has?
I was looking for a Schism blown up planet, and I found Schism's blown up planet.
Is it well and proper blown up?
It is Alderaan scale blown up.
What the hell? Why is there Springfield classes in my territory?
That victory will soon be ours.
Federation.
Inform the
Rogue
Senate
Federation
that victory
as well.
will soon be ours.
That's a small marquee raiding fleet.
Raiding.
It's only small.
I've got a Springfield and a Niagara. Oh, in my worlds! How dare they?
Research is complete.
In fact, there are Federation ships all over my territory. This is not good.
The Federation is gone. My beard is everywhere.
How did I miss that? How did that even happen? So let me just go deal with the marquee that seem to have spawned in my gravity worlds.
We are the superior race.
Rebels, the Maquis.
How dare they attack my holdings? Don't they know? Well, we'll make them pay for really from Romulan territory.
I'm still trying to kill this Doomsday machine.
Yes,
I
that
hate
is
you
most
guys.
unfortunate.
Why did you make this?
Our research
because
is complete.
we're evil.
Obviously.
But for example, one of the things we've implemented in AOTF, which has been seen in other mods, but it's something we really want to make a staple of, is ship damage effects.
Engage engines.
Yes.
So when your ship is damaged, well, we didn't want to make it so you won't be able to cripple your ship, which is something we decided upon.
Reinforcements have arrived.
So, for example, when your ship is 20% damaged, you will get a damage debuff, and when it's 50% damage, it will be a lot slower. But one of the things that I think is going to be very interesting that we've implemented so far, is that when ships are at 75% damage, their warp speed will be decreased by 90%, meaning you'll be able to retreat. But, you know, the enemy fleet might overtake you at warp.
Station complete.
And when it comes to antimatter, don't expect your ships to regenerate antimatter on their own. You're gonna have to refuel.
Our research is complete.
And I think that's gonna provide a very interesting tactical standpoint during the game.
Die, Miranda Clark.
Bit mean.
Well, they're marquee. They're in my world.
Your will.
One of them might have been crewed by Mira Bashir.
There is a possibility of that.
Destroy that target.
I mean, regular Bashir was annoying enough in Season 1.
That kind of worked well with the whole latest twist about him being...
Yeah.
Pretending to be this kind of doofus, but like, you know, like it's how he imagined that he is a human.
That's how he'd want to be.
Warbird
Kind of a jerk.
reporting.
Station complete.
Can faux pas about like, oh, it's so quaint out here.
Real frontier medicine. Funny DS9 tidbit, did you know that Major Kira was originally supposed to be, what's her name from TNG?
Oh, Alternate row. Yeah.
Yeah, Kira was supposed to be Rogue, but the actress didn't want to. And they were like, "Fine, we'll make a new original character, which is better."
And she was.
She's better.
Better.
And she was better.
Bring me a bear. I mean, bring us to bear.
So we're nearly dealing with these marquee scum.
I'd say you got the better end of the deal there, though, Ben.
What's that? Sorry.
You got Marquis, Schism got...
Oh,
I'm not feeling sad about this.
Speaking of which, Schism, is it still there?
Yes!
Complete.
Why have you not killed it yet?
It's mostly dead. It's just not completely dead.
Do you need me to
I mean,
come and help
mostly
you?
dead is just not dead with extra steps.
No, you don't want me to...
I might have a shockwave ship that can help in a bit.
Oh, the confidence. The confidence is starting to eke in.
But does the community have any questions? I mean, it would be interesting as well.
Is complete.
Let's see, anyone from the Max being Max?
Our
Someone mentioned
ships
a
have arrived.
sci-fi book called The Star Shadow.
We lack the resources.
So guys, if you have any questions, now is the time to ask them. We will try our best to answer them. And we appreciate those.
best.
We'll try to be betterer with our answers.
Just like Kira Nuis. No, I'm just kind of dealing with this. Yeah.
We have successfully
Having fun.
colonized.
I was actually enjoying myself as well.
Oh, there's pirates in here still. Oh yeah, I made a new pirate base for this.
Yellow alert.
An unknown roaming life form has been detected.
Station
Where?
complete.
Uh-oh.
Oh, in Bane's territory. That Gomtu?
Where?
Your territory. Is it Gomtu?
Oh, it's a gum too, look! Look at it. No.
Did I make a
It's
fancy
gone.
particle? Did I make a fancy particle effect for that?
Yes, you did. Do I want to kill the gum too, or am I just going to let it fly around? I might just let it fly around.
Doesn't it kill stuff?
Not but it does, but...
Oh yes, one of the interesting things I'd love to see in the Sins 2 is good friendly events, because we kind of have to cheat them now by making the ships invulnerable.
There you go. That's cool.
Hey.
Are they going to be Borg, and are they going to be OP in the Federation?
Well, no. Age of the Federation takes place between the launch of the NX-01, actually slightly before that, and the launch of the Constitution class, so the original Enterprise. So no, the Borg were not a thing at that point.
Our research
Well, at least
is complete.
they didn't encounter them.
Station complete. Station complete. Planetary research is complete.
I mean, I think it's the most direct way to say it, but there's just no way around it, is there? It's still going to be Borg.
Proceed.
And just for before this question shows up, no, we will not be following the Discovery timeline. We will be following it based somewhat on the Axanar and other books and comics set before that. Before that was announced, because we got a very specific visual identity that we want to preserve, which shows a very clear progression of ship designs. However, we do have our own take on the Discovery class, or sorry, the Crossfield class.
My life for the Empire.
And not just the Crossfield class either.
Here he is!
Hello. The Tomb ship is also one.
Yeah, the Gulmar.
Our research is
Gulmar.
complete.
Marshmallows in his mouth.
Proceed.
Hello, Mr. Gul.
Hello there. How are you?
Are you having the
Station
net problem?
complete.
Something of that, yes.
life
It's
for
been
the
an interesting
Empire.
evening.
Hello, my name is Fraser Crane.
Course
I am
set.
listening.
I see that Bane has had a haircut.
Lie in the
I have had
shadows.
haircut, thank you. So you've not missed too much. Who am I kidding? You missed loads, but
yeah, man, you missed the official announcements of Sins 2.
Again? Every week.
Yeah, every week there's an announcement. Every week you miss it.
Initiating warp.
There were some serious questions there where I would have loved to have heard your answer as well.
I am more than happy to field anything that you have.
Soon be ours.
So Bismarck asked, when will AOTF be ready?
When? All right. Let me answer the question with a question. Did you pay attention to the stream? Because we literally kind of answered that already.
Station complete.
Was the answer next week?
The answer, there was a talk about mod release dates and how we said when it's done, because you really can only release when it's done. So when it's done.
For the Empire.
It's done when it's done.
Our research.
I genuinely think that's the only way that you can approach mods.
It's just in. It's done.
Were we a full-time development team, perhaps we would be able to commit to a date early on in a development cycle, but we're all doing this in our spare time, so and that will chop and change depending on what's happening in your life.
Exactly.
My life for the Empire.
I mean, we try to be, you know, as honest as we can be around release dates, but you know, we don't want to commit to something that we're going to set guys up to fail with.
We cannot, Commander.
And that's important to us, really. That we give an honest sort of answer on these kind of questions.
Initiating warp.
Station
I think
complete.
typically we tend to be quite good. Once we do commit to a release date, we tend to meet it, don't we? So that's always a good thing.
We've
had
our research is
we've had our usual Christmas thing for a couple of years in a row.
'Tis more brave to live.
A hostile empire has launched a dreadnought. Oh no!
Caesar has launched a dreadnought.
Oh, typical. Maybe it's Schism. Who you cool we
I think
that?
Schism's not here right now. Please leave a message after the tone.
and then you just hear the tone of like the dreadnought. You know.
As another planet of Schism explodes.
My poor planet.
Richard Bowles would like to know what what ships are going to be the Titans in AOTF. So I think it's worth talking about that, isn't it?
Yeah, so what we've decided on is to make the most powerful ships. We didn't call them Titans, but we're going to call them prototype or next generation ships. So the Federation Titan, it's because we've already shown these, there's only one we haven't shown yet. The Federation Titan will be the Constitution class. Unfortunately, you will only be able to build one, but it'll make a big difference. The Klingon Empire's Titan will be the D7. And for the Romulans, it will be the Bird of Prey from TOS.
My life for the Empire.
Mostly, we're sticking to the original designs from the show. Although there might be some slight visual changes in order to make them look better. So you know, for the Constitution class, we've added some slight hull plating and some visible weapon ports. But overall, the details, you know, you're going to see all the nitty gritty of the original.
I think from a detail point, you went for the Gauge version, didn't you?
Well, no. I went for the series production one, slightly mixed with the Cage version, because still it was only shown in one episode, and it was never talk of a refit. So rather show the one that's been shown the most.
But the little pointies.
We cannot, Commander.
Well, the not glowing deflector.
We cannot, Commander.
Sorry, the not glowing swords.
Oh dear, someone says, wait, Season 2 was announced, is that what you said? If so, that's news to me. It's not been announced. It's not.
We have
just
the
winding
superior
up.
This is so easy.
As we do.
Please
disregard.
Guys.
Where to?
Oh, another interesting thing we're doing with AOTF, that's something we haven't mentioned, is shipyards are now under the tactical structure slots, and there will not be a dedicated repair station. Each shipyard type will repair the ship types that it can build. So a frigate yard can repair frigates, a capital ship yards can repair capital ships, and a Titan yard will be able to repair Titans. Interesting enough, when your ship is being repaired at a star base, you might not want to leave it undefended, because unlike stock sins or Armada 3, when they can just buzz about, you know, while they're being repaired, they're kind of temporarily disabled for so many seconds while they're being repaired. So this could create some very interesting tactical scenarios where you could ambush a fleet that's still being repaired while your ship, while the enemy's still going, while the enemy's still going strong and sends in new reinforcements.
Take us to warp, Sub-Commander.
I personally think that will create some very interesting.
Sub-Commander.
Are we playing with Patreon, guys? I'm not sure.
My crew is ready.
Is that because you're about to lose your
Pride
capital?
of the Empire at your command.
No, actually, Yolan was asking because he wasn't sure.
Gul, why are you so fetchingly devilish?
It's by dint of my good genetic makeup.
There you go. I can't believe I had to ask that question, but there we go.
Station.
You know what the answer is? You know what the real answer is? Warp 6.
Station complete.
Not many questions. I guess they just want to watch us play and do
I
some
just want to see
planets
what happens
because
when Caesar kills me in a second.
You make me out to be some sort of monster, Bane.
Nick Claver's saying that he'd like to buy a new game, which is Sin style overall, but will allow you to pilot your flagship directly.
I'd love that. There was a Kickstarter game which was called Flagship. Unfortunately, it didn't get through the Kickstarter phase. I was personally thoroughly disappointed because that looked really good.
I do believe it's still in development though, albeit significantly more slowly because it didn't succeed in Kickstarter.
Richard Bowl said, well, another good thing about AOTF, no Cardassians, lots of laughs.
Warbird.
Oh, Richard.
Well, AOTF 1 at least.
Richard. Join me in chat later on and I will educate you. How many lights do you see?
2.
That's an unusual answer.
Chris, I think I know a nice vacation park where we can take that map. Galatep comes to mind.
Oh my.
Oh my. Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Are you saying there's something wrong with going to Galatep? It's a perfectly good vacation place.
I'm saying nothing about anything ever.
It provides the best Bajoran nasal reconstruction that you can find. Anywhere in the quadrant, by the way.
The interview is what I'm here for. I don't have questions, so it's all down on you, Skizz. You've got to ask the questions. It's all on you.
Oof.
No, we went through these questions, but of course,
research is complete.
Mr. Gul wasn't here.
Is complete.
My life
for the Empire.
Oh, Yolan's telling me to starbase and mine up, but it's not familiar with the mod. Normally I would, but I'm not sure.
Station
I'm going to starbase up a bit though.
We serve only the
actually, I'm going to ask a couple of the questions for Gul here.
Feel free.
What the big one really is: what mod features would you like to see in Future Sins?
In a Future Sins.
I said in Future Sins.
In a Future Sins, yes. That's definitely happening.
My life for the
Of happening! It's happening! That Ron Paul gif.
I think one thing that I think
Too late, it's already happened.
research is complete.
One thing that we're all very satisfied with the current Sins engine are the modding tools themselves. I think the design and makeup of the game is quite clear, and you're able to do quite a lot of useful things with it.
Than to die.
I think most of the upgrades that we'd like to see would be from a graphical perspective more so than anything else.
My life for the Empire.
I know that I'd like to see independent meshes on a single overall mesh. So the possibility for
what, a modules thing?
Modules, the possibility for moving turrets.
See, this is literally what they mentioned.
I certainly think that would be nice, not for a Star Trek mod necessarily, but for other mods.
Oh, I just thought of something I'd really love to see, and that is you just damn it,
It's more brave to live
mind fart,
than to die.
brain fart. It's setting up the weapon angle for each weapon. Like currently you're limited to left, right, front, back. And I'd love to be able to, like, this weapon can fire at an X amount of angle in this direction. So you can have some very narrow angled weapons and some very wide angled weapons. Which would work well with a turret system of sorts as well.
From a code perspective, it would be nice to have an expanded possibility of what we would call an if statement for various things. Just as an example, at the moment we have a limited stock of what we can do when it comes to planetary defenders. I think what we would like to do is we'd like to set up a lot of if statements to say if player is such, or if the planetary makeup is of such, you could have this, or this, rather than setting it up on random chance, in which case you might get two different races defending a planet, as an example.
I'm not an engineer, but I do know that this is something similar to this, which Brad's been talking about with our new engine, because of the nature of it, we can do what he likes to call a full state engine, so that basically you don't necessarily have to go into the game files and variables. You can just on the surface of the game with moddable files that do any kind of if this, if that, etc., and then just have a bunch of states and variables you can just apply as you like. And because it's 64-bit, you can track all of it at the same time.
Absolutely. I think that would be a very positive move for any future potential Sins games, just by virtue of the fact that it would allow you a greater degree of flexibility as a modder.
Hey, Blair. Good to see you in the chat. We've got the one of the Ironclad devs in the chat, so
woo!
Thank you, Blair.
I personally also love to see...
Hey, Blair. How you doing, my man?
Hey, Blair. Is some form of campaign. Even if there's not a campaign in the game itself, I'd love the ability to create a campaign. We've thought about creating a campaign using very, 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 very convoluted buff chains and tailored maps, but...
So, Blair said instead of auto-joining fleets or in addition to?
That's from P. Bleedhead.
Research is complete.
No, Blair Fraser says instead of auto-joining fleets or addition. I think he's interested in you guys.
That's right. I believe it says a response to P. Leadhead. It says the ability for new units to automatically join hotkey groups, which is, for example, if you've got two fleets in a single system, it will auto-join the fleet of your choice based on your initial choice.
Yes.
I think that might be nice, actually.
That would
Station complete.
No, for me, I would like to. I think I said it earlier. I'd like to see modular upgrades would be really cool. You know,
Yellow alert.
Can you imagine if you could have some of the features? Because I love the way Sins does things. I like this kind of layout. I'm also a big Homeworld fan, and I love the modular upgrades in Homeworld ships. And I'd like to have a system that we could do that, but it was in Sins, if that makes sense.
I mean, for a Trek mod, that would do wonders.
That'd be absolutely awesome. And I said, for your benefit, Gul, because you weren't here, I also said I'd like to be able to target abilities or area of effect abilities in space rather than having to target necessarily an object. So rather than having to directly target a ship.
Well, I mean, there's one ability which does that, and that's the you've got that mini warp jump ability where you can and.
Yeah, the thing is, it's hard to target. If I wanted to target a gravity well, like at that point, do you know what I mean? From a deflector, you know, I'm just thinking from a Star Trek kind of way. I'd love to go right. See that point in space? Nuke it.
Fire an antimatter further on than version.
Beam, stuff like that. So that would be a really great feature, because that's one of the things I feel there are ways to kind of clunkily get around certain things like that, but it's not ideal. So I think that'd be really cool.
I think another thing that I would like to see in a potential future Sins style game. Now, I think this is quite. This is something that I've spoken about before. I'm not sure if the other dev team members have an interest in this, but I'd like the ability to be able to zoom further into planets and potentially place structures in a very simple way on the surface of the planet, more so for immersion than anything else. We've already got a system whereby we can upgrade the infrastructure of a planet, but I'd like to go a little bit more in depth, kind of drag a structure into a particular zone, have that structure built on a planet, and then zoom back out. It would still need to be a very simple system, otherwise you'd get caught up in the minutiae of the game and probably miss the fact that you'd lost 3 planets. But I just think it'd be a nice thing to do.
Going on from that, you could translate it so that rather than logistics being in stations always on space, they're on the planet itself, and it gives raiding a more of a impetus because you could take out specific structures
Station
that are
complete.
important to a player's infrastructure.
Well, there's another idea that also comes from that stem. Subsystem targeting might be interesting in some.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I hate to tout our own horn, but I mean, if you look at the Armada games, they had a great subsystem where you had weapons, engines, sensors, shields, and life support. Sort of, the game has a crew
Station
system
complete.
where your ships will become adrift if they don't have crew. That I would love to see that in a Future Sins game, where like certain abilities cause radiations, which makes your crew die, and your ship just kind of drifts there, waiting to be
Station
captured.
complete.
So, Blair actually said, yeah, targeted position is a no-brainer. Module system's tougher,
Construction
so long as the
complete.
information is easily communicated visually. I wouldn't see it on a mass-produced unit for that very reason. There you go.
It'd probably be for like capital ships, of course,
Capital ships,
which
yeah.
is what Homeworld
Yeah,
did as well. And speaking of Homeworld, personally, I am fond of what the Blackbird guys did
cannot,
with
Commander.
Visits of Carrick, and they actually
Yes.
had a carrier where you could shunt power around to with it, and so you could you could research, invest your resources in research and power upgrades, and you can use that to like change what your carrier can actually do, like give it the ability to heal the units, the ability to fire missiles, all kinds of things like that.
Station
But it
complete.
took like time for it
Richard
to-
Bowles, for
Warbird
the
reporting.
visual references, suggested what I'm talking about with regards to planets. Do I
It is
mean
more
that in
brave to
a
live
EAW style?
Than to die.
Yes, I suppose I do. Yes, that's a very
Pride
simple
of the
interface.
Oh,
one
no.
could
At
say.
your
Oh
command.
no, I have an asteroid coming towards my planet.
Oh dear, that's unfortunate.
That's not good for you.
Oh, we've
Come on.
got Zombie Russ in the chat.
Stand
Who
against
Hey,
is
zombie!
a very, very high-profile Sins modder.
Oh,
and
shit.
makes some
I said that
fantastic
earlier.
mods.
The godfather of the Sins modding community.
Granddaddy.
Indeed.
How we love him
see if he
so.
wants to join as
We
well.
lie in the shadows. We serve only the tall shield.
We owe a lot to him, and he's been a great
We
friend to our
cannot,
mods,
Commander.
especially as well. So thank you to Zombie.
Have we talked in general about the Sins modding?
Yes, quite a bit actually.
We shed so much love about the Sins modding community. We're such a
Our research
very
is
sort of
complete.
sycophantic in some ways.
Could ask you this question as well, Gul. How did you actually start Modern Sins, and what motivates you?
From what I remember, I started brown nosing Max, and eventually he gave me a job.
That's actually
Good
true.
job. So you get paid for this?
He only gets paid in
love.
I was going to say in nature.
I was quite excited about what he was doing, and I simply started commenting on a few of the images. Kind of
Few.
using myself in comments more than anything else.
Few.
And ultimately, I think because I shared a few ideas of my own that I thought would be nice for a potential Sins mod, Max contacted me and said, "Hey, do you want to playtest this?" And I think as a result of my playtesting, I wanted to go into the files and
Our
better
research
understand
is
exactly what he'd
complete.
done with said files, in order for me to make more informed decisions when I was reporting potential errors or anything that I felt was of note. Once I'd learned a little bit more about the files and how they worked and why they worked that way, just on my own time, they're not overly
We
complex.
serve
That's
only
one of
the
the really
tall
nice things
shield.
about it. I started modifying the files a little bit myself, and I think I sent you one or two changes that I felt would be beneficial, and you said, "Hey, why aren't you a developer?"
You go become Code Monkey. Go.
And it was love at first sight.
Well, I think from
we
a
did get
practical
along
standpoint,
straight
that's
on.
more or less what happened to you as well, isn't it? Isn't it, Bane?
Well, mine was more about moaning a lot about
That's
what
not
I
like
didn't
you.
Well, then again, nothing's changed, has it?
No, I moan about everything. Everyone knows that. There's no point in denying it, really. Why are all of the modders seemingly British? Lots of laughs.
The Praetor will
I am not British.
Max is actually Dutch. Myself and Technophobius are British. Draconis is Dutch.
Pride of the
Connor is
Empire
British.
At your command.
Amberenia is American. Corey is Canadian. He's done some bits for us.
Michael Wiley is American. Christopher Lavo's Canadian.
Lavo's Canadian.
Zombie's American.
Zombie's American. Actually, I think and Kalen, who made original maps for CTA, was
Australian. Orion Slavers are Australian.
Yeah, there's a really diverse mix in Armada 3 and people that have contributed to it. So you're going to see, a lot of influence from all the corners of the earth in it. Yeah.
What does tend to happen is that people within the same time zones tend to stick along with each other because it's just easier because time zones and working together.
It does make life a little easier, doesn't it? You do get a really interesting cross-section of humanity when you start working on a mod, especially one that's got a few people on it. It's really quite exciting because you meet people you might otherwise never have had the opportunity to speak to, with often quite different opinions from yourself, and I think it broadens you as an individual as well.
Yeah.
We lack the resources.
I'm sorry?
Broaden your horizons.
Indeed.
I'm just asking to see if Zombie or someone else wants to join
My
as well.
life for the Empire.
Oh, I knew. I mean, you mean on the voice here?
Just on the voice chat, yeah. But
if any Ironclad devs would want to join, they're all welcome.
I think the main thing Sins modding needs is control over more game code, trigger states, AI, objectives, other game logic, etc. Says Blair.
Soft particles.
The ability to make the eye do what you actually want it to do. Yeah. Oh my lord.
My life for
what you wanted it to do?
The dream is real.
Yellow alert.
I think
I just want to make the Intrepid's ncells rotate when it goes to warp.
We have
the amount of time I spent getting that done is improportional to how important it is.
Now, I think you should mention your one while Blair's here, Max. What you wanted to achieve, something about the textures, wasn't it?
None can.
Oh yeah, there's an issue with Sins' shaders where non-additive particles always take precedent in the foreground of 3D space, even though they technically should be behind it. And we had an idea where we could have used a randomized texture animation set at 0 FPS where we could have registries on the ships, or at least on one part of the ship, so you could have the nice USS Voyager or USS Intrepid. But the downside is whenever a phaser beam passes in front of it, it would seem like it's passing behind it because the non-additive particle, which is fully black, would display behind as if it was in the foreground, which would create some really funky visuals.
Our research is complete.
Yeah, so that was a bit of fun, wasn't it, experimenting with that?
How may I say?
Wait, what? We've lost contact with a colony? Ah!
Oh my!
Oh my god! Oh my god, Borg!
Oh dear, random events.
When did this happen?
What speed, Centurion?
This is fine. Look, I got a planet blown up. You get
I've got multiple cube. A cube
Borg invasion.
What? That is not. No. No.
Is complete.
No. No. You did not send a shockwave ship to my fleet. No. No. It's not going to end well.
Might want to save
Suddenly
that.
panic! Panic!
Might want to save that.
Panicking. I am panicking. No.
The panic is real. Resistance is pain.
Oh dear, that never gets solved, does it really?
Oh, I hate
your
mod.
I find it really enjoyable that we've managed to create certain ships that elicit utter panic from players.
Oh god, just wait. Can you imagine when the thing that we haven't announced or shown it shows up in AOTF?
My life for the Empire.
You know the thing that from the thing.
Ah,
I think you know what I mean.
The thing.
Oh, that thing, yes.
The thing which is from that species of one of the last letters of the alphabet, and it's round.
Oh wow.
So
basically, Caesar just sent a shockwave ship to
Take
my
us to warp,
fleet and
Commander.
took it off of it.
I can't have sent a shockwave to your fleet.
Wait, no, who was that?
I'm
Based
not
on
playing.
That was you.
Based on the fact that I can see Bane chopping away to himself.
I'm not playing a faction that has a shockwave ship.
You have a shockwave ship.
You do realize that they can also show up as a neutral vessel.
There's only two factions that have shockwave vessels. One is the Klingons, which Max is playing.
It was Teal.
And the other one is the Romulans, who have.
Yes, it was Teal. I'm Cyan.
Oh, right, so it's Bane.
Correct.
I don't know what you're on about. I'm the
don't
Romulan
know what
Star
I'm on
Empire.
about.
You can't prove anything, so... How was your fleet, by the way? Oh, they're still there. I don't know what you're worrying about.
I think the question was there as to how accessible Sins modding is for the community. Has that already been answered?
Very much so. I think we
yes.
talked about that in a bit ago.
It's a nice fleet you have there,
My
Ben.
life for
Thank
the
you.
Empire.
I think the,
Are you
simple
coming to annoy me, are you? Or...
incredibly. Sins modding itself is incredibly easy to access. There are a number of sources that are really useful to anybody who might fancy experimenting with it. I think
Our
first and foremost,
research
which
is
is probably the
complete.
Sins forums. There's a
cannot
lot of
come out
information on
there.
modding there. Zombie Russ, who's in the chat right now, he's done
My
several
life for
guides on
the
modding, and he
Empire.
also has an application which runs on Eclipse,
We have entered the coordinates.
which is it makes modding significantly easier than
Praetor
it might
will be
otherwise be
pleased.
from a code perspective. I think couple that with a lot of the guides that I think it's Mephisto's made a lot of guides, hasn't he, on the
Yes.
Sins forums?
We lack
My fifth zero, I
resources.
think.
How may I serve?
Yeah, that's it. My Fist Zero. Yeah, his
life
his
for the
guides
Empire.
are.
Oh my god, they're
fantastic.
moving up! These Borg aren't staying still, they're moving around!
Reinforcements
Oh
have
my god,
arrived.
they're going everywhere!
It's the invasion event, Max.
No, this is not. This is not.
Did
going
I
well.
mention that they
Empire.
colonise worlds and generate more Borg?
Planetary research.
They do what
Oh,
now?
What? Colonize?
They
My
colonise
life for
worlds,
the Empire.
and then they...
So that's the same way the flood actually works in SOTP to some extent.
Correct.
Correct.
We have the
And they
superior.
are,
Oh my God!
they are cancer. They are basically cancer.
Max is
So,
currently
is this
experiencing the
cancer?
Vazari.
I'm experienced beige, that's what I'm experiencing!
Soon
I'm
enough,
gonna-
he's
I'm
going to
just
have to
keep
try and
building
expand
ships right
outwards.
now. I'm
My
I'm
life
hearing
for the
death
Empire.
on the other side of the galaxy. So I'm just building ships.
Close your borders. Close your borders.
Increase power
See,
to
building
engine.
Dyson.
Just watching.
Battleship
Building a
Bismarck
great
has suggested that we're speaking about the Zindi Beam Ball of Doom for AOTF.
Oh, from Enterprise.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's
My
not a
life
bad
for
guess.
the
It wasn't
Empire.
what we were talking about, but
Oh, yeah, we can neither confirm or deny that.
where is
Gerard's asking
planetaries.
if I'm not streaming. Sadly, no, I'm not. We should put this one down to internet issues or wakefulness issues.
where is Caesar's fleet? Then?
My life for the Empire.
You know, around.
The Praetor will be pleased.
Around.
He's around every now and again.
Oh my.
We have the superior firepower.
What map are we playing on?
have the
I'm not
superior
familiar
Wolf
with that.
This
359.
is Wolf 359.
It's one of my favourite maps.
Oh, it's very accurate now that it's called Wolf
Proceed to
359.
coordinates.
Convenient how Borg have shown up.
Yes.
Very convenient. Borg invasion has occurred.
Bloody hell.
Reinforcements
I actually
have
took one of my
arrived.
planets and I need to take it out. I'm
'Tis
battling
more
the
brave
cube
to
now.
live than to die.
Impulse speed, Centurion. Increase power to engines.
Have we already discussed Discovery?
We're
Yes.
trying to stay off the subject of Star Trek too much because there are people watching tonight who aren't super up on Star Trek lore and all that.
I see.
All energy to engines.
Okay, we'll leave that one out. Let's discuss kind of mods in general. Does anybody feel that there is a
Praetor will be
sci-fi
pleased.
franchise which is missing out on mods?
Babylon
5. Even I, as a non-Babylon 5 fan, feels that it's not
Impulse speed,
represented enough in the
Centurion.
community.
I mean, I am aware that
Increase
there are
power
2
to engine.
mods for Babylon
Impulse
5.
speed, Centurion.
I don't think they're very current, are they? Unfortunately.
Increase
think
power
they
to
are
engines.
No. 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 Spain is doing nothing but sending shockwave ships at my fleet.
Proceeding to destination.
Oh
We
dear,
have
it's
the
just so much
superior
fun.
firepower.
There needs to be a huge announcement like, "Oh, hey, shockwave ship."
And to be fair,
It-
they cost an absolute fortune to build and they go up in
That's-
price every
That's
time.
that's called the a hostile empire has
'Tis more
launched a
brave to
dreadnought,
live
Yes.
than
A
to
Titan
die.
class
Announcement.
warship.
or a hostile
Uh,
empire is building a dreadnought.
I mentioned earlier to Bane that Chris, I had a very nice use of a shockwave vessel in when I was fighting you, wasn't I?
Oh yes, that was a good one. I think the
Proceed.
the most horrific work that anybody's done on me at this point is probably Caesar with his shockwave ship during the Nemesis map.
Caesar is very surgical.
to
with
coordinates.
Shockwaves.
I've shockwave you over numerous games though, Gul.
You have, but that's my most memorable one because I think I was crying with laughter.
Hello, Federation.
I think the one I'll never forget was
Corey says Warhammer 40k.
Oh,
Yeah, the downside is with Warhammer 40k is if you make more about that, there's a chance, you know, you get the whole like, hey, this is Mr. Games Workshop and we're telling you to stop it now.
I don't think they would, you know. They've not
Tis
really
more brave
been
to live than to die.
There's the total
They
war.
might get precious about any models that were
Have the superior
ripped.
firepower.
Other
No,
than
there
that,
were
I don't think they'd be too phased.
The Total War games were banned. They banned modding on the Warhammer version because Games Workshop said no modding on that one.
Yeah. Well, they do
think
allow
that-
certain ones. They just don't.
I think the idea behind it was like we don't want you to make we don't want people in the community to make ship or characters that we can still make money off of. I don't blame them entirely, but I don't think it's how you create a good relationship with the community.
Richard Bowles is saying a working Stargazer. I think you're going to have your wish over the next couple of weeks. I believe
Say yeah.
that over the next week or so, SGI's next build is going to be deployed. So keep your eye on SGI's mod page, and I think you will be pleasantly surprised. At least I hope you'll be pleasantly surprised. I know
If you're not, then we'd be really disappointed in your opinion of mods.
Proceed.
Some very talented people working over at Stargate Invasion. Some really nice stuff, especially the latest stuff I've been working on their Discord. It's really good.
In fact, speaking of modding guys, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I feel terrible about it, but I think some of the graphic designers for SGI they've been doing little tutorials on Substance Painter recently.
Oh yes,
which are really good.
Dot has been doing some.
That's it. .nfg, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And he's been talking about the way that he uses Substance Painter and the way that he layers textures over one another, using opacity in order to create a fully fledged finished article, complete with rust and perceived aging, which is really cool. I really like the fact that he's done that. It's nice to see things in development in that way, isn't it?
Yeah, we've done a video like that similar as well, wasn't it, with the Steam Runner modders on modding.
Not, Commander.
Hey Grimlock, how you doing, my man?
Grimlock.
Strike now.
Nick Claver says there's so many people I'm sub to in the chat. Yeah, Corey's here. We see him.
Move it.
Who's Corey?
I don't know. He always seems to lose though.
Our research is complete.
Kind of reminds me of Terrence here from Terrence and Philip.
Engaging thrusters. Our research.
It's okay, everyone. I've got a new planet. I'm feeling good about this.
We cannot, Commander.
Planet.
We cannot.
Corey, actually,
Commander.
I think Corey's probably got some opinions to offer. Would it be a good thing to include Corey in this chat as well?
Yeah.
Sure.
Our research is complete.
Corey, if you're still watching,
Get on the stage,
and you'd like to discuss things with us, please do feel free to pop yourself into the Sins Discord, into any voice channel, and I'm sure you'll be dragged in.
Build there.
Because Corey also helps with this.
Our research is complete.
This one's probably one for you, Max. Blair asks, do you think a Trek mod would benefit from a PBR engine and Substance Painter?
I personally don't think so. I mean, PBR, yes. Substance Painter itself, not necessarily no. Because Star Trek ships have this very specific texture,
The Praetor will be
which
Increase
I
power to
don't
engines.
think can be auto-generated, especially with the amount of specific hull lines that have to go in certain direct places.
None can
take the original Constitution, for example. If you don't have the amount of the correct amount of concentric circles in the hull lines, you're gonna have people that will eat your head. So And but PBR, I mean, would definitely help. I mean, you can of course get the base material laid out with something like that.
Our
That's
research
a lovely
is
fleet, by the way,
complete.
Caesar. Nice and spread out.
I hope that that answers your question.
Engage engines.
Nope.
Proceed
What do you mean?
to
Stop it, Bane.
coordinates.
Stop
Stop
what?
it, Bane.
Take us to warp subcommand.
Stop what? Look, we are
Swiftly and silently.
Klingons.
Romulans.
Whoa,
With
whoa, Shaggy,
duplicitous in our
Romulans.
nature.
Take us to warp subcommand.
Wait a second, is that the Enterprise out on its own? Yes, it is.
We have engaged
Excellent.
the enemy.
Bring all weapons
Mushroom
to bear.
Starbase is going to be.
Engage
Hey ho.
engines.
Station.
What I personally think a Star Trek mod would benefit more from in an RTS would be a subsystem mechanic
My
of
life
sorts.
for the Empire.
I think that would be great. I think that would work really well for any RTS setting, but maybe not the ability to target specific ones like at all times. But, you know, you can have certain abilities that target specific subsystems, which I think would make it really interesting in the way you play it. We're going to try to emulate it in some way in AOTF, like there is some sort of something like that going on.
Our research is complete.
Increase power to
Yes,
engine.
lose your shit.
What happens when you
Station
challenge the
complete.
Federation?
Better dead than fed.
I mean, you're literally fighting off of a
Station
mighty
complete.
Stardock right now.
The mighty Stardock.
I'm afraid that wasn't quite
Although,
close
now
enough.
my ship's
I know, I just realised that, and I was like, oh, a little bit
What
sad.
is happening to my ship?
I just prevented you from getting shockwaved again, Schism. You're
Oh,
welcome.
it is spinning. It is
Why
spinning.
have you done that, Caesar? That's very frustrating that you have
None can hope to match
put that
us.
base right there.
Can't believe you've done this.
It's
Can't believe
frustrating.
you've done this,
Ah,
Caesar.
so
I
I'm
can't believe you've done this, Caesar.
I'm fulfilling my objective.
You're fulfilling your destiny.
Rule number 1: annoy Bane.
What have I done? I didn't usually
That's
do
that's definitely rule number 1.
Being mean to Schism. That's just.
I am not being mean.
You are being mean to Schism.
I'm not. I'm showing Stardock the love.
The love of the pirates.
How great their game is by destroying Stardock, destroying his image.
Bane, take a look at the name of my starbase.
Since 2.
If it did, it would be limited to things like capital ships, Titan starbases regarding subsystems. I think most sci-fi stuff has been covered then.
Yes, I mean, something like that would not work on individual frigates, but yeah, for capital ships that would be amazing.
Your will.
That he should shockwave back with all these possible.
I don't have a shockwave ship.
Which no doubt frustrates.
You know you do somehow.
I do.
I'm being unusual and playing Dominion.
Apparently, Andromeda had a mod with Star Trek Armada 1.
Yes, Star Trek Armada 1 was also quite heavily modded. It also had a very extensive homeworld mod. Sorry, not homeworld. Babylon 5 mod.
I think the most successful Babylon 5 mod for any game at the moment is probably for X3.
X3. The game which is boring but really isn't, but then it's really boring still.
It's only exciting when you're good at it, really, isn't it?
And if you've got like, it's like fun for the same kind of people that like playing Euro Truck Simulator. It's not really a game.
Okay, Battleship Bismarck says, what enhancements would you like in terms of map design? What would you like to see added to planets to make them feel more planety?
Oof, planets. I'd personally love to see a bit more control and lighting when it comes to maps. I mean, there's very limited lighting control we have right now. And the ability to make... yes, that's something I'd really love to see. This is more of a graphical things we could use with maps. It's texture animations on models, rolling textures in combination with particle meshes that can be animated. game which has some good varieties in that is, for example, if you look at Stellaris, their neutron star, stuff like that, it looks amazing.
My life
and it's
for the
really cool to make. I'm going to see some of that stuff in AOTF. At least we're going to attempt at making some stuff like that. But
I think conditional texturing might be a nice thing.
Oh yes.
Just as an example, one thing that we've always, or one thing that we would always, in an ideal world, have liked to do, is show worlds taken by the Borg as assimilated. That's not really something that we can do with any great ease using the current engine. So perhaps if you have an enemy of that type that would change the environment of the planet to suit itself, then it would be a really
glassing a planet.
Or glassing a planet.
Off an atmosphere.
The other thing that might allow for the usage of conditional texturing is terraforming a planet, of course.
Yeah, yes.
How may I serve?
That Master of Starbase took
moons and functional moons. That's just a minor thing. I'd also, in map ways, I'd love to see more hazards, in a way, like unstable asteroid fields, things like that. That would make it really. I mean, sure, there's ways to do it, but there's no real ways to show it in the game.
Zombie has suggested that he would like to see encrypted meshes. In that regard, he means meshes that wouldn't be able to simply be ripped.
I mean, binned meshes, kind of are sort of close to... yes! We have not mentioned the elephant in the room of the one thing we've all wanted in King God. A proper stealth system.
Oh, yes. Why did we mention that earlier?
Because I think none of us thought of it.
I think the capacity to entirely hide your ship movement from an enemy would be lovely. At the moment, we can cloak shit. However, their icon remains above said ship.
It's basically the mesh is invisible. That's all it is, and the ship's invulnerable.
That's right. That's right. So, I suppose being able to see things dependent on what faction you're playing as might be very nice.
Or an ability, and a stealth ability, turn your ship invisible.
'Tis more brave to live.
You could add stealth detection with that as well, and of course, if you go by the Star Trek mechanics like that, you could have like a sort of timer that it takes to cloak and decloak.
No, Caesar. No, that is not
Caesar. I know what you're doing, but you're doing that.
If you think I'm blind, you've got
I don't know.
Blind.
I don't know what you're on about, Bane.
Stop deploying star bases in my gravity worlds.
I'm not. I'm not deploying star bases in your gravity worlds, Bane.
I can see what you're doing. I'm not silly.
Have arrived. Engage.
I don't know what you're talking about. Those aren't star bases.
Those
and Caesar, fuck off with your scouts.
That's terrible language, and we expect better.
Careful with the language.
Sorry.
That's my last scout.
Well, there you go. That answers that problem.
Genuinely, that is my one Arran scout.
I lost
that's
2
left.
planets to Bane.
Engage engines.
To be fair, I have my own problems with someone that's being quite annoying.
Well, you deserve it. I didn't attack anyone. I got a doomsday weapon and
initiate communication.
It's all downhill from there.
There's another little graphical thing that just popped into my head. And that's either procedural debris meshes or and damage decals on ships, or just any sort of decal system.
We cannot, Commander.
But specifically damage decals for weapon impacts.
My life for the Empire. My life for the Empire.
Oh yeah, it's your last scout day, Caesar, but you're still telling it to just travel out into the distance, eh?
It's an auto scout.
No, it's not.
It is.
It's not how scouts behave, and you know it.
Increase power to engines.
Yeah, it is actually.
Your will.
Why can't we all just be friends?
Commander.
Oh, bye, scout.
Because it makes it a very boring game.
All energy to engines.
Really? You're shockwaving me again?
Me?
Hey, that were me.
At your command.
Oh no, you're not. Okay.
No, I'm not shockwaving you.
I thought you were.
That would be extremely.
I thought you was going to shockwave the starbase, to be honest.
None can hope to match us.
That was my thought process. Really.
Excuse for mess up and destroy.
Does anybody else watching have any more questions that they would like answered from Stardock itself?
I don't. Well, we got Blair in
Blair's
the
here
chat,
too.
and I'm
Blair's
here
here
to help answer questions as well. But I think Blair knows more about Sins than me by far.
He heard us praising his name earlier, and thus he turned up.
Praise the Blair.
So, and I would like to say I hope everything is well with your family, Blair, as well. I know you've got a little one to look after, so thank you for taking the time to say hello. My little one is thankfully tucked up in bed.
Have the superior firepower.
Giral says his last Sims game was a win for him and for Cardassia. Everything that he did.
The Union is a great. I love the Union now in Nemesis.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's always been good.
Well, yeah, but the Kessock ships work so well in the fleet. They look so cool when they all fly off together. It's
I love the fact that we got those in. I mean, I loved making them as well because, I mean, that's something I love. What we do with this is the little nods to the older games, like Bridge Commander SFC. There's like we've got so many hints to older Trek games, don't we?
Yes.
In one form or another.
And I think we're still trying. I know we're not going to talk about Discovery too much, but I think we're still trying to be sympathetic to the idea and concept of Discovery. Yes, we're putting our own spin and slant on it by trying to make the ships appear a little bit more consistent with the pre-existing ships. But we're not discounting it as a full and functioning Trek experience, are we?
Caesar, it's starting to get a little bit frustrating with the starbases in my gravity wells.
We have successfully.
I don't know what you're on about, Bane.
He's a member of the Imperial Senate on the diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
Yep, exactly.
Look, why can't you just leave me alone?
Because you won't leave Schism alone.
I have left Schism alone now. I'm not attacking Schism anymore.
You've already taken some of his planets, though.
Oh, yes. Blair asked, what was the toughest part to mod in STA3 Nemesis?
Getting it, for me, at least, I'd say for any of the coding team, getting a full functioning, working, without too many issues, galaxy scenario dev.
Oh, yes. I'd agree with that, and...
So I think making any map that you pop into, whether it's random or designed, feel like it's alive and breathing.
Oh no!
Yes.
Will be pleased.
Sorry. Let me just press this button.
Oh no! Oh no!
This is brilliant. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you.
Oh no! They're warping out. Oh, there's a lot of them that are escaping.
Do I need another Terran?
Yes.
I'm going to build another Terran.
Magnificent. Yes,
my Titan got out without damage.
That's alright.
I definitely do think it was creating a full and functioning galaxy, particularly the galaxy scenario dev. So, kind of creating what you might describe as a unique planet.
My life.
Or at least a unique set of planets, whereas at the same time being able to use them without compromising on the integrity of the game. That was the most difficult bit for us, I think.
Now,
from
you've got to ask yourself, is this really what you want to do?
Oh my, that's a lot of explosions.
I mean, I'm happy to go this way.
Do you have anything to add to that at all, Bane? Is there anything specific that you found very difficult?
We cannot build there.
No, I think generally, you know, as I said earlier, Sins has been a pleasure to mod. I think my frustrations more come from things that I wish I could do that I can't do that we've already discussed. So generally, I love modding Sins. I mod 2 Sins mods, as most people know, and never really had a problem with modding any of those. So yeah.
There we go. What about you, Max? Is there something? I know we've already touched on the textures that you would like to see in the way that they work.
There's a lot of graphical stuff I'd like to see, but I'd love to see a story mode, or at least like scripted missions that we could do.
The possibility of having a briefing prior to a map kicking off would be lovely.
Yes.
Planetary research is complete.
I think one of the things I know Amberenia would love is a way to have more to be able to script sort of missions.
Well, I just literally said that.
Oh, did you? I wasn't listening really because I was trying to, I don't know, deal with some Klingons that have come to my space. My apologies.
From what I heard, you dealt with it quite effectively.
If you're looking for testers in general, what is it you would like them to say or do? Would you prefer them to try and break the mod or game? From my perspective, not necessarily try and break the mod or game, but I would like them to be highly critical, not only of an enjoyment perspective, but also from a I suppose from a practical perspective, if they think something that exists is useless from a gameplay perspective, I think it's important for us to know that as modders, even if we don't like hearing it, which we often don't. It's important for us to be able to kind of look that in the face. I think Caesar's been quite useful for that. If he thinks something is useless, he really lets us know.
Proceed. You can't always make that useless thing useful, but we try.
Swiftly and silently.
I need more defenses.
I'm sure you will understand when I explain.
Where's your fleet, Bane?
Currently dealing with a Federation fleet that's attacking
of the Empire. Jirala saying that he quite likes the Masao Okazaki designs made for the Starfleet Museum.
They will actually make some appearance in Ages of the Federation. We have most of the Romulans make an appearance. The Federation ones don't because they've really been retconned by Enterprise. But there are definitely some inspired by that.
It's probably fair to suggest that you've alluded to that with the tomb ship design for the Klingons, haven't you?
No, the ones from the Starfleet Museum are really there's the Cracker and the Cabbage and the other designs like that. And
I'm talking about the cylindrical rear of the Klingon tomb ship that you've used.
Oh yes, but that was because it was based on a brilliant sketch by Atom, which is somebody who was in the community for a long time. And,
well, but it might be.
Fuck off, Bane! Fuck off, Bane! Oops, sorry.
Language.
No.
Increase power to engine.
Yes, I think it might be fair to suggest that it was him.
Engage impulse engines.
I suppose try to bring that particular design aspect in.
Oh, hello.
Oh my.
Okay, this is the point where I welcome Caesar and then I promptly unwelcome Caesar.
I'm not looking forward to this battle. I'm going to be honest. I'm being attacked now on multiple fronts.
Hope to match us.
I'm being attacked by 3 players.
Bring him down. Go for the eyes.
Oh,
was that a Haldal's Gate 2 reference?
Not where I want to be right now.
Go for the eyes, boo! Madman speaking to his hamster.
Where is he? Where is he? Oh dear God, my ships are just dying horribly. I never wanted this space anyway.
You fought me a lot for it.
What's this magnificent fleet I see? That looks heartily like the Dominion.
It is the Dominion. So,
or should I say, the Dominion?
Things have gone very wrong for Bane very quickly. I'm sure you took many losses.
Was that me? I took quite a few losses.
Grimlock says Bane always gets teamed up on.
We have engaged
He does.
the enemy.
It is part of Bane's life. But Bane accepts it. To be fair, Bane was being quite mean to Schism at the time. So,
Bane does talk of Bane in the third person.
Bane does talk about himself a lot in the third person. It's a known Bane habit.
My crew is ready.
Reporting. I think
we cannot, Commander.
I'm in trouble now. I don't think I can pull this one back easily.
Of course you can.
So the Klingons are at my door.
Warbird reporting.
What's up with the ship movement? It's gone a bit wonky.
Jarella's asking if we're going to include a Promelian battlecruiser. The TFF module does include a Promelian battlecruiser that you can capture, a working one.
My life.
So there you go.
Empire.
Already done it. Mr. Timo says, or Timumu says, he's too good. They must work together to kill him.
We serve only.
See how nice people are being about you.
I'll just go defensive. It's fine. I'm just going to churn out yet another
Shockwave.
Shockwave
My life
vessel
for the Empire. Oh, we lie in the shadows.
He's. I think he's more interested in having his other planet back, Caesar. And this is why I like the Wolf 359 map. If you want to look for a map to play, you should play the Wolf 359 map because it's a great 4-player map, full of treachery. Games can go on for a long time. I'm just looking at our stream time. We have now been streaming for quite a while, so we will probably come to an end of the stream very soon.
We're doing this for 2 hours, which is not bad.
Yeah.
'Tis more brave to live.
And then VOD as well.
Oh, it's Monday. Speaking of Mondays, is there another episode of Discovery out?
Yes.
Oh my, I should watch that.
This is my planet. Go away.
We lack the resources.
Bane is about to discover how bad he's got. This week on Stardock Discovery.
Warbird reporting. Warbird reporting.
Your will.
We serve only the Tal Shiar.
Should invest in more defiance. Keep building the queue as well. I feel like she's building.
Bring all the fights along. Should be building a varied and balanced team.
Yeah, that too.
Pride of the Empire at your command.
I didn't ever build frigates like dual cruisers.
I'd really build a bit of everything. One thing that they have is they've got a very synergistic set of abilities. So the greater your variety, the more likely you are to find that your ships work together on a fundamental basis and really start to shine.
My life for the Empire.
Thanks so much for joining us, Blair. It's been really kind of you to jump in and chat.
Can't read the chat.
Pride of the Empire.
Says, looking good, team. Gotta run. Thanks for the answer.
Alright. See you later, Blair.
None can hope to match us.
My life for the Empire.
Yeah, I'm surprised the amount of attention she got for this. More than I suspected, honestly. Which is good. A lot of good feedback about Modern.
Well, I think so. I think there's always been a hunger for the
Yeah, especially in
My
Sins.
crew is ready.
More hungers.
Oh, hungers!
None of that.
You never let me do nothing.
Pride of the Empire at your command.
I've got my own kind of problems here at the moment, as you can probably tell.
That's why I'm singing the Klingon song.
However,
It
as Max
shall
knows, he
be
has
done.
lost a fair amount of ships.
I know.
My life for the Empire.
I spent all day the other day shockwaving, you know, so...
Well, most of my kind of went into
My life for the Empire.
That's the case. Where you going, Max?
My crew is ready.
How am I special?
My life for the Empire.
Oh, I
don't want to concern you, but it appears that your station is down.
It appears that my station is dead.
Yeah.
Whatever gave you that idea? Is it the fact that my station is exploderized?
My life for the Empire.
Giral says moddable games last so much longer. Star Trek Armada 2, the game, was his favourite, and since now joins it in that regard. I agree. I think highly modded games, they've just got such a massive shelf life in comparison to games that don't accept modding. And that goes for quite a few different games, and I think, you know, Bethesda, in some regards, has got that right. Just by virtue of the fact that it does allow modding of its games, and it's increased the shelf life of games that might otherwise be, you know, have a shelf life of a year to, in some cases, 5-6 years.
Yes.
My life for the Empire.
Replayability via modding. Yep, you're not wrong. Does anybody else have any questions about sins or modding or, well, anything really? Ask us anything.
If we answer, well, that's a question you'll have to find out at that point.
Is that you regrouping, is it, Max?
I think he's probably bringing a shockwave ship in. No, he's not really.
Oh, I see somebody's building a Titan.
Oh my.
Nearly finished as well.
We serve only the Tal Shiar. Proceed.
Are you building a scimitar, or are you building a Phoenix again?
Oh, there's the Federation. Come to reclaim the Shattered finally.
My crew is ready. Engage engines.
Your will. Your command.
I think a lot of Armada 2 mods have found their way onto Nexus recently, haven't they?
Yes.
So it seems to be experiencing something of a revival.
That's good.
Yes,
It is more brave to live than to die.
Oh, Grimlock's got a good question. He says, his question is, what is the thing that you as a team felt needed to change for Nemesis specifically?
The amount of bugs that TFF had.
Honestly, nearly everything. I think the only thing that we were fully satisfied with was the model. And that was it.
And even there I've got some room for improvement in my book.
Well, I mean, that's what makes you a good model, is the fact that you continue to try and make things better constantly. Yeah, well, I just think the overall balance of the game we felt needed to improve. And also, I know one of Bane's biggest bugbears. Oh no, that Titan did not happen. One of Bane's biggest bugbears was the fact that he didn't feel like we'd done enough to differentiate the races from one another. So I think there was, if I'm right, Bane, there was a pretty heavy focus on that for you, wasn't there?
Warbird reporting.
Yes.
And I think we managed it.
I will say Max is playing beautifully here.
Hallen Frost would like to know how I managed to survive the end of DS9. Well, luckily the fire caves of the Far Wraith have a fantastic internet connection. I get excellent up speed, excellent down speed, and you know,
I thought it was a stunt double.
The burns aren't too bad. The stunt double. There is no substitute for Golden Cat.
I know, but you're not going to really kiss a dummy, are you?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, there you go. Stunt double.
Empire. Proceed to coordinates.
But yeah, I think overall we wanted
Yes,
to do
Commander.
more to differentiate the races and make the entire experience
entered the coordinates.
feel unique and feel flavorful. And I think between primarily Bane and Draconis, really, I think that's really been managed well. I just did as I was told, as I do.
I'm bottlenecked.
You are a little bit. Perhaps your enemies would like to fight one another for a bit.
Take us
No.
to war, Commander.
No, I don't think they do.
We can.
No, Bane sealed his fate.
This, you've had this months coming, years coming.
Warp drives engaging.
Now behold this fully powered and operational salt mine.
My life for the Empire.
Giral!
Lay in a course.
My imaginary monocle just popped out of my eye there.
We have
Can't
the
use that
superior
naughty like well, you have
firepower.
done.
Who are they to stand against the will of Romulus?
I just need to act very Romulan.
Giral says Gull ensured that she was satisfied on an emotional level as any good partner would. Instead,
engines. My life for the Empire.
oh, hang on, people can see the chat. They know what he actually said.
Station complete.
What did he say?
My life for the Empire.
I cannot repeat it on the stream.
'Tis more
Yes, you
brave
can.
to live
No.
than to die.
You can
You
type.
cannot. Look away, children, look away.
Gull did something naughty to her instead.
Engaging thrusters. My life for the Empire. Engaging thrusters.
Yeah, this
We
game's
have engaged the enemy.
no, she's
Who
still my feet
are
or something.
they to stand against the will of Romulus?
Probably.
Warbird reporting.
Stream sniping intensifies.
Oh yeah. What's Bane doing? Let's see.
Coward.
Superior firepower. My life for the Empire.
Don't know what you're on about.
Communications established, Commander.
I was
Warbird
just
reporting.
scouting my own territory that you have invaded.
Understand when I explain.
Your territory.
Our
My
people have a
life
proposition
the
for you.
Empire.
Stop blowing up my scouts.
Good proposition.
We have the superior
game's
firepower.
afoot, eh?
My life for the Empire.
The foot's a game.
Lay in a course.
Speaking of the game, no one's going to care about this, but I watched some incredible
My
rugby
life
over the
for
weekend.
Empire.
Expect you to rendezvous with them.
Six Nations is on. Come on, lads.
Planetary research is complete. My life for the Empire.
It's too expensive to build one of those now.
All right, Giral, you've got to behave. This is a family show. This is a family show, Giral.
My life for the Empire.
And you, Lord General Commander, coming in with the naughty things.
My life for the Empire.
Bane's having a pretty rough time at the moment.
Yeah, I love
Those treacherous fools.
Okay.
But Bane, do you really like it? Is it wicked?
it. Did I mention how
Station complete.
leave my Titan yard alone?
'Tis
Leave
more
my
brave
Titan
to
yard
live
alone?
than to die.
What are you in?
Engage those treacherous fools.
I'm not falling for that.
No, don't
We
destroy
lack
that.
the
You don't want to destroy
resources.
that. There's nothing there worth
How
of
may I
interest
serve?
whatsoever.
I'm sure you will understand.
Dago.
How may I serve?
Oh no, I'm gonna lose a Titan. Oh
kill myself.
Got Blame Bane 2018 in the chat. Rosai is suggesting that you're going to get the wooden spoon again.
How may I serve?
I think we've said that random movement a bit too much, babe.
Where to? Is that the Spinny of Doom occurring?
Yeah. I think that's a bit too much.
It's something that we can't seem to change. We've tried to fix that and they won't have it.
None can hope in
Indeed, we have tried.
And suddenly, Federation.
No, I have a shield.
Oh, look at them go!
Oh, is this scanning up on main? Scan up on main, right?
Oh, yes, it is!
Okay, I'll show you. I've got the Klingons and the Federation lapdogs.
My crew
coming.
Brutal.
Brutal, savage, absolutely destroyed.
Yes, my apologies, Bismarck. My apologies.
Leave nothing alive.
The Welsh did beat the Scots over the weekend.
How dare they?
Nonetheless, it was a fantastic performance by the
How may I
Scots, and they
serve?
played some excellent running rugby. So
We have the superior
I mean, they weren't running over the try line.
Hey,
That's not
you fought of honour, sir.
I am a Klingon. What do you expect? Anna! Anna! I fought with Anna. She was a good lass.
Proceed.
How may I serve?
No one knows.
No one knows.
Her name was Anna. Well, I have not been paying attention. I have a Dominion fleet in my backyard.
Actually, I'm in your front yard. I came through the front door.
This is what happens when you see you've fallen for the same trick that I fell for, thinking I was safe on the aggression, on the push.
It is more brave to live.
And now you shall pay the ultimate price, Klingon.
Oh well, was a good game.
Durell says not even your gross curse can save you now.
Oh, that's true. That's so true. So sad. I haven't played World of Warcraft reporting. I'm desperately trying
can
to
hope to match us.
level up. This is the only downside of going rolling, leveling up so many capital ships on a regular basis.
Planetary.
What's leveling up capital ships? I don't know what that is.
How may I serve?
Ah, excellent.
We cannot.
I think we're seeing the beginnings of a love affair between Grossar and Battleship Bismarck. I'm excited to see what happens.
Did we not build? Oh no, we didn't have the money to build it. That's why. Now we have the money to build one. Yes.
No, Gowron, don't go there.
Build it and they will come.
We have the superior firepower.
So apparently the Federation
Proceed to
are coming.
coordinates.
Apparently.
Engaging thrusters.
Federation are coming. The Federation are coming.
Excellent. Now I've cleared the
Pride of
Klingons
the
out of my
Empire
territory.
at your command.
I'm
You
feeling
get to
kind
deal
of
with the
happy.
Federation.
Yeah, I get to fight the Federation. This is like every Romulan's dream, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Well,
Enemies to the
Federation.
left, enemies to the right. So we're surrounded.
Planetary research is complete.
Commence
You
primary
thought
speed
we were
buffs.
defensive Federation. Joke's on you. So. Be surprised by this fully operational battle station. Which way are you going? You're going that one. That's like the best way you can go. You should definitely go that way. I fully approve of this action.
Red alert. The enemy starship is complete.
Treachery will
What?
get you everywhere.
What? Don't you dare! Don't you
Full
dare!
impulse power.
Here, Feddies.
Take us to warp, Subcommander.
How may I serve?
Oh my god, it's the Battleathon!
Proceed to coordinates.
Hi, Caesar.
You have made a terrible, terrible error, Mr. Federation.
Planetary research is complete. We cannot, Commander.
Well,
A life for the Empire.
Did you just
We
get
have
shocked?
the superior firepower.
fuck.
language.
Firepower.
Oh dear. This is what I love about this game. It does bring out the emotions in people.
You didn't kill Golden Cat.
Magnificent.
But I killed a lot.
Nor did you kill my Titans, so... It just means that I get to display the wonderful prowess that is Dominion ship build speed.
Proceed.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call it a night because I have to be up early.
Yep, I think we're going to finish the stream.
But one more.
Because it's not a good tactic. You don't want just one type of ship to be the best. What you want is, because that means that there's no proper counter to it. What you want is that you're kind of guided towards having a varied fleet, because not one ship is the most powerful there is. I think that's a good way of saying it, isn't it?
Haha! Didn't kill either of my hypers either. Haha.
Following you round.
Like a record, baby.
Time to Weyoun XVII.
That's Polaris.
Oh, right, yeah.
Why am I leaving?
The superior firepower.
You frozen time yet? Oh yeah.
That's right. Give my
Nothing.
I was actually expecting to be shockwaved by your starbase, Max, not a shockwave ship.
No, I figure I'd never go for the shockwave starbase really, because I feel that the starbase is too much of a resource investment in order to do that.
Yeah, but being able to shockwave a starbase right to the end is still useful. It's why I was planning to go after your tactical labs before actually tackling them.
And destroy it.
Target their pitiful excuse for a vessel and destroy it. Goodbye, Polaris. Oh, look at Parish.
Your will.
Currently, the community is only getting 420p.
Oh dear. You're only getting 420p. Is it gone down?
We have the superior.
It certainly appears to have suffered a little bit.
Well, it may have reached that magical limit in Virgin Media, where we've been streaming for 2 hours and 21 minutes.
Ah, yes, that old chestnut.
Well, now that I've successfully destroyed the Federation fleet, again.
We have the superior.
It's okay, Stardock, it's okay. But I'd like to take the opportunity, because I'm going to call it a night here as well. Thank you for watching the stream, guys. But I'd like to thank Stardock for offering to interview us, and specifically Schism as community manager for Stardock. I'd like to thank Blair for popping in. I know he's not here now, but hopefully you can watch the end of it again on playback. Gul and Max as well for joining me, my fellow devs.
No problemo. I arrived a little late, but I think I made up for it.
Yeah. I'd also like to thank Caesar, who ruined my evil plans once again, as he always does.
Oh, foiled at last.
Foiled at last. And I must say that Romulans are the best faction, and everybody should play them. But seriously, it's been great. We've had a lot of fun making Armada free. Obviously, open beta is still continuing for a few weeks yet, so please do feedback any bugs to us on our Discord at CGB, or even if you want to put them in the Sins Discord and mention them there, and Schism, I'm sure, will gladly tell us of these these areas. We'll try and check ourselves as well. It would be most helpful because the final version, which we will actually let you guys know when we're happy, will literally be the final version, because it is time to say goodbye to this wonderful mod in terms of long-term development. Of course, if a new version of Sins or something else comes out, then of course we'll keep it up and running and we'll revisit it. But it's time for us as developers to move on to pastures new, and in this regard, for me it's Ascendancy and Ages of the Federation. For Max it's Ages of the Federation, as for Chris as well. And we look forward to and hope that you join us with Ages of the Federation and support us in that endeavour as well.
Doodly doodly.
So without further ado, I guess it's time to say good night and goodbye. This is Bane as always, signing out.